Hey guys, BenKyo Baduk here. In today's video, we're going to take a look at this interesting attachment invasion against the star point with Knight's Move enclosure. Originally, I was going to spend today doing a video all about the different ways of approaching or invading this formation, especially focusing on P18, the subway invasion here. But I've run out of time today for working more on YouTube videos, so I'm going to do that another day. Today, we'll do things a bit out of order and focus on this attachment move. Now, this move in many situations is not one of the best moves, but it does have its time and place, especially when there is a black stone somewhere around here. Do keep in mind that if this black extension is anywhere closer, like let's say here, then it might not be a very good idea to play this one, because then black can just send you in that direction and you'll have very little space to really move around much and get a good result. So it's not as if black is going to always hane on this side and let you use this move, right? So I generally recommend it more when the black stone is at least this far onto the K line or the 10 line. If you guys are enjoying these daily videos and want them to continue, please do consider giving this a thumbs up and ideally a comment. First of all, if black blocks the corner, white can extend away. The R17 stone for black only has 3 liberties, so when white plays the hane at R18, it's really going to destroy a lot of the corner and get some more eye space for white too. So black definitely has to extend here. After that, white can push, and if black responds, white can just set up a base like this, and this is good enough. If black ignores for something like this, then white can just Atari and float away something like this. White has access to all kinds of forcing moves, whether it's like around here, sometimes even like this, depending on black's ability to counterattack in the situation. As well as forcing moves on this side, like push if we really need it. Otherwise, try not to, and just like this or like this, aiming at stuff like A or B if black doesn't respond. Aiming also at stuff on the other side. So it's pretty hard to attack this white, considering that white's already pretty far out and there are forcing moves on both sides. So this is also okay for white. So what happens if black blocks the outside? That's what we really need to get into. Now, the most common mistake I see here from white is to extend into the corner like this. Looks pretty normal, but there's a problem in this particular situation with the stone at R14. If black descends here, right, rather than something mild like connecting, or something pretty bad like this, which becomes very, very inefficient with the R14 stone and allows white to like live really big in the corner and make black pretty inefficient. Instead, black should descend to P18. After this, no matter what white plays, white cannot really make 2 eyes locally. Only with some support from the outside can white actually even survive here anymore. So this is a big mistake by white. And the move we're going to talk about today is this hane. Let's start with what happens if black plays this Atari. Generally, white should extend once, even if they're planning to sacrifice this. And suppose black captures this stone, then we can just counter Atari on the other side and capture this one, and that's going to be good enough. So black shouldn't do that. Normally, black is going to consider this one or block this side. So if black blocks this side, one thing white should strongly consider is to Atari like this and then push along on this side. If black keeps going, white can actually descend here. And then if black blocks, we have a certain tesuji here to win the capturing race in the corner. Do you want to pause the video and try it for yourself? Go ahead and do some reading here. Right, so the move is T18, very famous kind of capturing race tesuji. This tesuji, by the way, one of the ways to remember it is you're playing inside, but you're specifically playing on the spot that is threatening to immediately connect back out. So it's kind of a first line placement that sort of asks the opponent to cut down like this to separate you. But in doing so, they themselves touch this white stone, therefore giving them less liberties from it, right? That's part of the gimmick here, because now when white plays something like this, black is just about to die here. Yeah, so that's just a little way for me to help you visually remember this tesuji, but you know, that's not really what the video is about. So if you guys do want those like more technical types of videos and for me to give you guys some visual tips, some specific pointers that I personally find useful, then let me know and we could make some videos on that stuff. Instead, however, black has a stronger move here, which is S18. After this, white can push to see what black does, and suppose black blocks, white can attach here. Black goes after the one stone, white cuts and creates a ko. If black connects, black just dies cleanly. So black will take a liberty away like this and we'll get a big ko fight here, which white captures first. And if white wins the ko, it's going to be a pretty big corner in terms of points, also leaving black with a pretty miserable position and also a cutting point still there. So this is pretty interesting for white. So black's more recommended move here would be to block the outside. This can work because let's say white just Ataris and black pulls this down. Still, white cannot capture these stones in the corner because white would lose the liberty fight there. And if white pushes here, of course, black just captures and white's dead in the corner. So white needs to now think about how to sacrifice these two stones. Yeah, and extending this out makes sense because of the proverb of increasing your stones to 2 before you sacrifice them, which is often true. Yeah, just like in this Joseki, for example. Many of you might be familiar with this kind of thing. And later on, right, when black goes after this one stone, it's actually correct for white to extend it once before they sacrifice it. Yeah, because if you imagine this left side as a white territory, and you see that white is blocking it on the 5 line here, right? If white just Ataris, and then black, instead of descending now, just captures, this white Atari is not Sente, so white should play away. But that means black later on might get this one and this one if there's a white territory over here. And white gets reduced all the way to the 7 line and black's corner also gets bigger. So it's a pretty big difference. To summarize the last bit, if white extends in, then white's life and death is in trouble when black descends here. So white plays hane, and if black cuts, white extends once and black should block this side. After that, white is going to sacrifice the 2 stones, and I recommend to Atari the corner once, and then Atari out like this. And something like that, and white is going to be a-okay here. So now it's time to take a look at the pattern that I generally recommend for both sides in most situations, which is black simply extending here. After this, white's safest move is to play this hanging connection here. Black descends, white plays the diagonal here to expand the eye space, and black blocks and white plays at the vital point here as 17 before black can get the chance to play any more moves such as that one. And that is the end of this variation. You can see that white lived in the corner, fairly modest, and black got a pretty big, strong outside here as well as Sente. So I really don't recommend doing this attachment at all during the early game. The only times when it's good is sometimes during the later middle game. So white shouldn't do this too early or even really like all the time, because although black did start off with a 3-stone advantage, black's outside is really, really good. Let's back it up a bit. Why does white play this hanging connection? This is because suppose white connects and then black descends. After white plays on this side, the corner here is totally exposed. Like even black can play monkey jump. So it's better to play like this. That way, the farthest that black can get in is just this Atari here. So let's talk about this Atari here. So why does black not Atari like this and then connect, but instead just descend? This is because after white plays this one, white actually still has to beware of a move at A, which is threatening to cut, threatening to connect under, to bridge across on the first line, like this. So white needing this move at the end guarantees that white gets gote here, which is important for black because if black makes the understandable mistake of Atarying here, the problem with that is that after white's diagonal, white's kosumi and then black blocks, although this is actually still a killable shape for those who really know their life and death, somewhere around a 1-dan level, white actually has an interesting move here. So this one is somewhat sente, because black would want to connect this in order to have a really good and promising position for the future out here. Although there is something black can do here in the corner, Black cannot kill white unconditionally, so white is actually able to tanuki now and play away. And that's a pretty big difference compared to white getting gote in the actual set pattern here. So it's actually very important for black not to Atari here, but just to send. That way, after white plays up to here, black gets the next move elsewhere on the board. As an exercise, I recommend you guys to try doing the life and death here by having white pass, and then your job is to capture this white group. If you're a mid to strong SDK or a Dan player, then this problem should be pretty good practice. Let me know your solution. Another thing you guys can work on here, which I have intentionally avoided showing, is what can black do in the corner here when white plays away. Let me know in the comments if you know about that, and feel free to post your variations. Would you guys be interested in seeing a video all about the life and death L shapes, like the small L +1, +2, large L shapes with an exposed underside, something like this? Let me know if you guys would like a video on that stuff, and we can definitely do that. Some life and death videos. Let's do a quick summary now. First of all, white's attachment here is not very good early on in the game. It's a much better idea for white to save this for much later in the game. Another thing to watch out for is if this black stone is actually a little closer, because if it's like here or here, then when you attach, black is just going to send you towards the left, and you're going to have very little space that way, so it's not going to be very good. If white descends to the 3-3, it's actually very dangerous, so white should hane, and then black either extends, which is the most common and recommended, or cuts here at B, in which case white's going to make the sacrifice one stone bigger, and then black's best idea is to hug the outside like this. If they hug the inside, white can just play Atari, push, descend. If black blocks here, then again, we have the tesuji in the corner now to kill, if you remember what that is. So instead, black plays this move. White pushes again because why not? After this, if white just tries to play the liberty fight, something like this, black can take the key point at T18 and win this liberty fight. Because in order to take away black's liberties, white has to remove one of their own liberties, which just quickly loses the fight, like so. For this reason, white themselves have to play on the vital point, which is T18. Black captures it, and we get this ko situation. But this does look pretty good for white, even though it is ko. So black is recommended instead to block the outside. After this, white will not have a good time trying to save these stones. So instead, white sacrifices. Something like this, and it's satisfactory for white locally. But of course, it depends on the overall position. Therefore, the most recommended variation for both players in most cases is to just extend here for black. For white, play this hanging connection, this tiger's mouth. Black will descend here because anything else, and white's gonna quickly get 2 eyes as well as eat into all of black's top territory. So black descends, white expands once, and then takes the vital point before black does. And black gets sente. Black needs to make sure that they do not Atari here. Otherwise, white might get sente. Again, give this problem a try. Very, very important L shape to know, especially if you're like mid to strong SDK or down level. So that is going to be that. Please do give a thumbs up and comment if you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you guys want a video all about the 3-3 invasion here, or anything else for that matter. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.